Tonight, changes to quarantine measures coming to South Australia's COVID restrictions, and traces of asbestos found at Whyall's new public high school.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. Major changes are coming to how businesses and residents in the Spencer Gulf handle COVID cases on a local level. South Australia's Premier today announcing new quarantine requirements ahead of the state's reopening.
Little to no quarantine time for vaccinated close contacts. That's the plan the South Australian government is putting forward. A new roadmap announced this morning ahead of the state's pivot towards a COVID normal life.
As everybody knows, here in South Australia, we're signed up to that National Cabinet framework, which said that we would lift those state borders at 80% fully vaccinated, and that's precisely what we're going to do.
From November 23, vaccinated close contacts will be only required to complete 7 days of quarantine instead of 14. For casual contacts, they will only be required to quarantine until they return a negative result. No changes to those who are unvaccinated. The Chief Public Health Officer assuring Spencer Gulf residents SA Health will still be monitoring cases closely.
We'll be looking very closely at the number of cases in our community and particularly whether or not we're overwhelming our healthcare system as a critical endpoint.
The nursing union, however, is still concerned about the effect the changes will have on the health system in our region.
The nurses and midwives in country areas are doing a magnificent job. They are really working hard and providing a good service to our community, but they are really pressured.
Further details on plans for businesses after the reopening will be released at a later date. Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
There's also been a major shift in the COVID response across the border, with New South Wales Health no longer listing all exposure sites. The latest change coming as Broken Hill and the surrounding areas see a spike in new cases.
Broken Hill's highest COVID numbers since lockdown ended. Since Friday, 4 new cases recorded, as well as 2 in Menindee. All but 1 are linked to known COVID positive people. But while we're seeing more cases, expect to see fewer exposure sites.
From today, New South Wales Health will no longer routinely list case locations for regional and rural New South Wales on the website.
Instead, the Service New South Wales app will alert people who've been to a venue of concern and tell them to monitor for symptoms. Those who need to follow specific advice will receive an SMS.
New South Wales will continue to contact people diagnosed with COVID-19 and their close contacts, and all people who need to follow special health advice.
Caught up as a COVID site in January, staff at the Gourmet Crib Tin were forced to complete a full 14 days in isolation. From today, some contacts won't need to isolate at all, and in the most extreme cases, vaccinated close contacts only need to do 7 days.
Now that it's changed a little bit, it makes it a lot easier to go about life. So, yeah, I'm all for the changes.
A matrix factoring in masks and vaccinations, determining a person's level of risk.
I think I would like to still know if somebody was in my business that was infectious.
The next step, flagged by National Cabinet, isolation only for those who test positive. Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Police in Broken Hill are appealing for information following a crash on Friday night. A white Holden Berliner crashed into a power pole on Chapel Lane around 9 p.m. Witnesses telling police 2 men got out of the car and left the scene. Police once again appealing for drivers to take care, following 2 fatal crashes in the district last week.
There's no need to rush to get somewhere as much as we all rush in lives. We just need to slow down and take time.
Anyone who witnessed Friday's crash is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Residents and businesses in Cleve, the Clare Valley and Port Pirie, who were affected by the October 28 storms, are now eligible for extra disaster assistance. The South Australian and Commonwealth governments are jointly funding it. Severe winds and golf ball-sized hail caused significant damage to these communities.
So it's really important that businesses who have been affected report their damage to get involved.
More information can be found on the federal government's disaster assistance website. The Education Department has admitted asbestos has been found in mulch placed at the site of Wylla's newest school. Final preparations are being put in place before the school welcomes students by the new school year. Mark Zeta has more.
The finishing touches are being put into place at Wylla's newest secondary school, but there was a scare involving mulch at the site late last week. The Education Department confirming asbestos was found in mulch put in place at the school. A spokesperson saying contractors were able to minimise the risk and new mulch has been sourced from another place as a precaution. While disappointed it occurred, the member for Giles has praised contractors for sorting out the problem as soon as possible.
The project managers acted very quickly, had the material tested, and they're going to remove all of the wood chips involved. So that is a good thing.
He's calling for stricter penalties for illegal dumping of hazardous materials to stop this occurring again, citing Wyalla's history with the deadly material.
Wudinna is a place, like many industrial communities, with a history of serious asbestos exposure some decades ago.
Meanwhile, the site is slowly coming together with a new school sign delivered to the construction site today. The Wudinna Secondary College is still on track to open its doors to students by the beginning of the new school year.
Still to come tonight, a remarkable end to the search for a missing man near Broken Hill. And tourism opportunities the focus of a conference in Port Augusta. Welcome back. A remarkable tale of survival has come to light in far west New South Wales. A missing South Australian man has been reunited with his family after spending 5 days stranded without food and water. Lachlanetta has the details.
John Stanley was found alive and well, bogged 3 kilometres from the highway at Coomba.
Been predominantly gone without food or water for 5 days, and to be basically unharmed and located after that time frame is certainly a really positive outcome.
The 75-year-old left Broken Hill last Tuesday, hoping to return home to South Australia. His car last spotted on Wentworth Road, heading south soon after. On Thursday, when he hadn't arrived home, his family raised the alarm. Sunday afternoon, police renewed their appeal for information. He was found a short time later, around 2 p.m.
To be basically unharmed and located after that time frame is certainly a really positive outcome.
While police had been conducting extensive searches, it was a property owner who found the man and his ute bogged to the axles.
He was attempting to return home to South Australia as a South Australian resident and simply taken a wrong turn and got lost and bogged.
Police saying anyone travelling on our remote roads should do their best to keep someone updated with their progress.
Just being aware of your surroundings and letting people know where you are, where you're going and which route you intend to take.
After being looked over by paramedics, John was reunited with his family.
RAA Travel is partnered with the Tourism Industry Council of South Australia to host 10 roadshows across the state. The Port Augusta conference seeing local tourism operators and MPs discuss how the industry will move forward post-COVID.
A platform for tourism operators to shape the future of their industry.
We have 30 local operators who are joining us today, along with 3 of our local members, so they can discuss their tourism needs, things that are important to them, especially with elections looming.
The conference seeing various strategies discussed to keep tourists pouring into the region once border restrictions are relaxed.
Port Augusta has been very good at tourism over the last few years, and the opportunity is to slow people down, get them to stay a little bit longer, spend a bit more, maybe have a meal or stay overnight or plan their next trip.
Operators aware that visitors not only support them, but a number of other businesses in the city.
They go to coffee shops, they go to service stations, they go to hotels, they go to supermarkets, they go to a whole range of other businesses when they visit our region.
It's been driven by the fact that people haven't been able to go elsewhere, and we really want to make sure that in the recovery that we have a platform for South Australians to travel within their state.
Local industry leaders reassured that even with international holidays back on the cards, the quality of the state's attractions will see people continue to explore their own backyard.
A lot of those people who've enjoyed what we've got to offer locally, perhaps invested in a caravan or a camper van or found new parts of the state, not everybody is going to go back to their previous habits.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
South Australia's peak motoring body is once again warning people of the dangers of tailgating. The RAA is calling for motorists to back off amid an increase in the number of fines handed out by police over the past 12 months.
Motorists around the state continuing to take risks on our roads. The RAA and South Australia Police reporting an increase in drivers tailgating compared to last year.
A spike of about 20% in the number of fines issued over the last 12 months for people following too closely. But also what we've seen as well is an increase in the number of insurance claims for the same sort of thing.
Last financial year, police handed out $675,000 in fines. The RAA saying a monetary penalty is the least of their worries.
But of course also there is the potential risk to people within your vehicle and the other vehicle that you hit as well.
The message particularly important for regional road users.
Applies equally in situations when you're overtaking too. So if you're following behind a vehicle that's travelling slower than the speed limit, then you need to keep a sufficient distance.
Mr. Mountain saying it's simple for road users to make the adjustment.
It's a type of crash that is avoidable, and all it requires is to ensure that we do the right thing by keeping sufficient distance from the vehicle in front and also remaining vigilant as well when we're driving.
The state's peak motoring body reminding drivers of the sufficient gap they should leave between themselves and the vehicle in front.
Rule of thumb is what they call the 3-second rule. So it means like if the vehicle in front of you passes a fixed point, it should be 3 seconds before you pass that same point.
Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. 3 of Wyler's playgrounds set for a major upgrade. And Port Pirie's punk music lovers preparing to share their passion with the city. Wyler's children are set to benefit, with new playgrounds set to be installed at 3 parks in the city over the coming months. To prepare for the works, the playgrounds at Loring Street Reserve and Trevan Park will be progressively removed over the next few days. The council says the works are expected to start in several weeks, with residents being thanked for their patience. Upgrades at Taylor Street Reserve will start next year. The City of Port Lincoln and the Nautilus Arts Centre are calling for entries for the 2022 Bendigo Community Bank Port Lincoln Art Competition. Entries of 2D and 3D works in any medium other than photography can now be entered. 6 prizes are up for grabs, including the $8,500 Major Cash Award and the $1,000 Local Artist Award for Eyre Peninsula entrants only. Entries close Monday, December 6. After a COVID hiatus, live music events are beginning to return to the stage across the Spencer Gulf. In Port Pirie, 11 different heavy metal bands will come together and perform some of the genre's best-known hits at the 3rd Pirie Punk Show.
Loud and heavy rock is about to hit Port Pirie. The 3rd Pirie Punk Show is set to take place at Phoenix Park this Saturday.
We've got 11 bands playing, all from around South Australia. We used to get into state bands, but now with the COVID restrictions, we're sticking to local homegrown. And we've got everything from pub rock to punk rock to hard rock.
Headlined by a Motorhead tribute band, the show will see a number of bands performing from 2 p.m. till late. The event, a showcase of the region's best up-and-coming heavy metal talent. One of the band's guitarists is only 13 years old. The up-and-coming superstar ready to shred on the night.
It's family friendly. We'll have earplugs for the kids, and it's a great range of music.
Organisers inviting people from all over the Spencer Gulf to attend and breathe life back into the local live music industry.
People get a bit of a misconception with punk rock and heavy metal, but I trust you, it's a very friendly community. And we're really doing this for the community, for mental health, and for people basically getting together and having a great time.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Turning to sport now, and it was a mixed bag for cricket players over the weekend, with some leagues abandoning their fixtures due to the region's wet end to last week. Our reporter Dylan Smith has this weekend's cricket wrap.
Wet weather here in Port Lincoln on Saturday forced the A-grade competition to be postponed. However, the B-grade competition went ahead. Both matches were close encounters at Ravendale Sporting Complex, with little separating the teams. In the first match, Todd River bowled Tasman out for 116 in the 35th over, chasing the total with 3 wickets in hand. Next door, the battle between Waybacks and Charlton came down to the final over, Waybacks restricting Charlton 9 for 122 from their 35 overs. In reply, Waybacks started well, with Joel Davies scoring a well-compiled 35 at the top of the order. However, Ashley Gray picked up 3 important wickets in the middle overs to earn his side a 2-run victory. In the final match, Lincoln South were far too strong for Southern Air South, winning by 6 wickets. Over in Port Pirie and Port Germain were too strong for Proprietary, winning by 17 runs. While in the other match, Wudinna made 208 off their 42 overs thanks to a half-century from Matthew Thornton. In reply, Southport couldn't quite get the job done, despite terrific batting from Beau Allen and James Pavlich. Finally, over in Broken Hill, and Central had a big win over South on Saturday. Central winning the toss, putting South's bowling attack to the sword, smashing 236 runs from their 40 overs. South were never in the match, with Central proving too strong in all facets of the game, bowling them out for just 42. However, it was a nail-biter on Sunday, with West and North battling it out. In tricky conditions, West put 109 runs on the board, requiring their bowlers to bowl tight lines. North were travelling well until a middle-order collapse of 5 for 16 proved costly, eventually falling 3 runs short. That's all for cricket this week. We'll have the rest of the region's sport tomorrow night.
Stay with us after the break. The nation's cattle numbers predicted to surge this year. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. With above-average rainfall forecast for the next 3 months, pasture growth is expected to surge, strengthening cattle numbers across the country. Meat and Livestock Australia says herd numbers have been down in recent times due to drought in many cattle breeding areas. However, the outlook for 2022 is looking positive, with national herd numbers expected to continue to grow. Strong overseas consumer demand is continuing to grow for the product. Time now to take a look at what we can expect weather-wise across the Spencer Gulf and Broken Hill for the rest of the working week. With all the detail and forecast, it's good evening for the first time this week to Alex Sykes.
And good evening to you too, John, and happy Monday to the rest of the Gulf. Well, there were a few showers about the region today, but things are looking up this week. More detail on that in just a moment. From 3 p.m. today, Port Augusta was cloudy and 19. Clare had a shower or 2 and was 15, and Cooper Pedy was 23 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Wudinna all were cloudy and 18. Broken Hill and Port Pirie were 19. Adelaide, Kadina and Cleve all reached 16 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, low cloud spilling over southern and eastern areas in a cool, moist onshore flow is causing a few showers, primarily about elevated and coastal terrain. Skies are largely clear further north due to a high pressure ridge. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southwesterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas 1 to 1.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell 1 to 2 metres. And we can say goodbye to the rain tomorrow. Port Lincoln will be partly cloudy. Cleve to reach 20 degrees, and Wudinna mostly sunny and 24. Whyalla will get to a high of 20 degrees, Port Augusta mostly sunny and 23, and Kadina will be partly cloudy and reach 21 degrees. Port Pirie will reach 22, Clare a little cooler with 19 degrees, and Broken Hill mostly sunny with a high of 21 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, and it's warming up on Wednesday. Cooper Pedy with the top of 34. Port Augusta partly cloudy and 29. Mostly sunny in Broken Hill reaching 26. 28 degrees in Port Pirie and Whyalla. Thursday will bring temperatures into the mid-30s. Wudinna and Broken Hill to reach 33 degrees. Partly cloudy in Port Augusta with 36. Possible shower in Kadina with 29 degrees there. But unfortunately, showers will return to parts of the Gulf on Friday. Port Lincoln to only reach 19. Port Augusta and Kadina 24. And it'll be partly cloudy in Cooper Pedy and Broken Hill. So John, at least there is some nice weather on its way in the middle of the week. I'm sure everyone is looking forward to it. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you.
I'm sure that warmth will be welcomed. Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Monday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will return tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.